Hello. Sorry for the delay. Things in life just got a little busy. We're going to continue on with now chapter 3. Well, there he was. He was trapped. Every day, this man could just wake up and hope to be able to wake up again the next day. The neglect to her family, the abuse to her family was affecting him. So here they are. He's stuck in this toxic, abusive relationship he can't get out of. And she knows this. She's got him in her grasp. And her abuse went from closed doors behind the doors abuse. She got so comfortable with it that it started continuing off into the public. Now, it was always never as bad in public. It was just more bullying in public. And then behind the closed doors came the hits, the name calling, the mental breaking down of someone. So he's just living his days day by day, getting sadder and sadder inside, more trapped and lost. And now there's 2 twin girls that have joined the family that he was under the impression at the time that were his. So now he's got to take care of these 2 twin girls that, again, he's under the impression are his. He's taking care of his son from another relationship. And he's got to take care of her 2 sons that each have different fathers, that she had abused and manipulated in one way or another out of their life, or as much out of their life as possible. Late September 2022, she opens up to him and tells him she was working at part-time at a rub and tug, getting paid for sex, and her cleaning clients that were all male were paying her for sex. On top of that, she was cheating on him with one of her best friends that would sit right beside this guy if they go camping and so forth. She was cheating on him with her best friend Derek. So he tried leaving, and the police were involved because she was being physical with him, trying to prevent him from leaving, trying to stop him from getting his stuff and leaving with his son from a previous relationship. She was worried if I left, I would never come back. And then she would have to find her next victim, which she put so much hard work into this victim. So by this point, this man has been taking care of kids that aren't his, taking care of his own kids, made her get off welfare because he worked, did everything treated her like a queen. He would cry so many nights in front of her, begging her to stop treating him like garbage the way she was treating him. He would treat that woman like a queen, even though she was so abusive to everyone in the family. She was so abusive. And to treat her like a queen still. And he would beg to her, pleading, crying to her to stop treating him like garbage, to stop treating him so bad, and stop abusing him, stop abusing the kids. And this woman would just smile and ignore him, light another joint, laugh at him. So when he tried to leave after finding out she was cheating on him with so many men, the police had to be involved just so he could get out. And he had his boss from another city come in to help him and his son get out. So he was free. He was trying to get a new stepping stone with his son, and he was free. And he just had to try to figure out a way with his daughters. But the communication between him and her back and forth during this time, she would promise him she'll go to counseling, and she would promise him all these things that she would change. She would take anger management. She would go on medication again, and promised all these things to get him back. And then she started telling him his daughters were calling Derek daddy to try to get him back. And it worked. She knew it would work. And it worked. So middle of October, they're back together of 2022. Things seemed great until it came to the point of she started doing the couples counseling with them via Zoom, but would have a hard time hearing when the counselor would tell her she's wrong or how she's treating me is not right. But in the counselor's words, obviously, Jennifer Moles would get up and just walk away and leave this man there by himself many times. She would not do the homework that the therapist would give them. She would not do anything. And when she would hear she's wrong or she's the one in the wrong, she would start yelling, she would flip out, or she would walk away, or do all three. And it became more and more, and then it became she was sleeping more and more. He was doing all the housework, he was working, he was taking care. He would come home from work, and the baby at 6 months old, 8 months old, they'd still be in their crib all day, and diapers just dangling off them, dripping off them, filled with urine, screaming, and she's got the padlock on the door, or the hook lock on the door, and crashed out in her room. So there was multiple times of this happening. So he tried reaching out to Children's Aid. He tried reaching out to Salvation Army for a place to be able to go with his kids, a safe place for him to go with his kids. But there's no resources for men out there going through domestic abuse to get out. There's no resources. He was offered a place at the women's shelter, but him and his kids would have had to stay inside the place for 3 weeks, not even be able to go outside, because it would trigger some of the other girls that are in there for domestic abuse. Yet he's there for the same thing. So there was no resources and no help. So the abuse would continue. She was comfortable now. She knew she had everything. She knew she could get away with it. She can live the cozy life now. All on abuse, and nobody will ever know, nobody will ever believe, nobody will ever anything. She knew how to work her gender, manipulate being the female, and she's done it perfectly. Embarrassing the system along the way, but she has done it perfectly. So then, December 3rd, 2022 comes along. And that night they got into an argument because she was still cheating on him. And she refused to stop seeing Derek. but she wanted him to be okay with it, because her words was, you should be okay with it, because if I didn't tell you that I was cheating on you, you would never have known. And that was what she used as her reason to still be able to go see Derek, of all people. So they got into an argument over that Saturday night, December 3rd, and Sunday, December 4th in the morning, she was sleeping like always. He was in the living room dealing with all 5 kids. The baby girls at this point were 9.5 months old. He's dealing with all 5 kids, feeding them, letting, just out, being active with them, doing all that. And us being a family and playing and all that ended up waking her up. And she came down the stairs, and as she came down the stairs, his son from another relationship, James was looking for a toy and couldn't find a toy. So was asking his dad, can you help me find this Lego toy or this Lego piece? And he said, in a minute. And he was sitting down in the living room. He said, in a minute, I'll give you a hand. When she proceeds to tell a 4-year-old or 5-year-old at the time, which how can a parent or anybody talk to a 5-year-old child this way? But she proceeds to look at the 5-year-old boy and say, yeah, your father's a piece of crap, and that's why I'm still fucking other men, quote unquote. So as a parent, how do you tell, or as anybody in general, how do you say those words to a 5-year-old? Like, that kind of shows your character and your personality and who you are, and that's just trash. That is trash. When then she proceeds right in front of that 5-year-old and right in front of the 2 twin 9.5-month-old babies, which were both maybe 2 feet from him, she proceeds to then attack him, violently attack him. He took about 15 punches to the face and the back of the head from this woman before the cops pulled up. When they showed up, she was arrested and removed from the home for domestic abuse. Things got very worse, and then her father Timothy, her sister Michelle, and friends of hers like Matthew Kyle and Jeffy and Kevin and so forth, which these are going to be in chapter 4. Evidence of these people will be in chapter 4, where they would start getting away with illegal actions with the police allowing it, with the system allowing it, and then the corruption of the Children's Aid, what ends up being. When she was arrested, removed from the home, the police and the supervisor of Children's Aid, Woodstock, Ontario, Mary Sue Bernard, she was at the house and she freed the children to him under his care with zero concerns of the children in his care. And with Children's Aid and himself, within a couple months, Mary Sue Bernard and Melissa Griffin would sit in his living room on the floor telling him they are closing the file on him because they have zero concerns of how he cares for his children, because he's a clean home, his children are his life, he takes care of everything, and he does it miraculously alone. And when they left his house, he was free of Children's Aid. But she was still under Children's Aid because of her attack and her charges for violent abuse. And when she was charged, where do you think she ends up going to? She ends up manipulating and using her gender as a female, being charged as the aggressor, the abuser, goes into a woman's shelter for counseling, saying, not telling them her charges, not telling them she's being charged for being the abuser, and sits next to other women that have been abused. They might as well have been sitting next to their abuser. but she manipulated her gender. And you know what she was told? Women cannot abuse men. If a woman abuses a man, that's because the man deserves it. But yet, if a man does anything to a woman on what this woman was doing to this man through their relationship, that man would have been in jail. He would have lost everything. And she got away with all of it. So again, coming chapter 4 will start being evidence. Now, I'm going to leave comments open on this solely for the fact. Actually, no, I'm not going to leave comments open on this because I have her and her sister Michelle and so forth that stalk my phone and stalk my page, and I don't need them blowing it up with stalking crap. So because of Jennifer Moles and Michelle Moles and Timothy Moles and that, what I'm going to do is comments are going to be stayed off. For chapter 4, because of the type of evidence I have, I am not computer smart. I have videos, I have pictures, I have hard evidence, I have so much evidence that needs to be part of chapter 4. If there is somebody out there that can help me to do this properly, because I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm a hard-working individual. I don't go out making movies or all this stuff. I just throw on the camera and put a music behind what I'm doing kind of deal. So I don't know how to do this stuff. So if there's somebody out there that can help me, then send me a private message. Send me a message and we can go from there. Because the type of evidence I have, I've got lawsuits. I just need to get this evidence out so the public sees. And then I'll be applying for lawsuits. So anyway, we're going to end that there. And the rest will be followed with the evidence and evidence of Jennifer Moles' arrest, evidence of her cheating, evidence of things that she's not aware of, because the court in chapter 4 will go into depth of it, but the courts refuse to look at anything that you're about to see because I was representing myself. I couldn't afford a lawyer. So they refuse to look at anything that the public is about to see. And the public is about to see some pretty serious night and day corruption. Till next time, may God bless.